Patriot Come Lately show. This is Stefan, your Patriot Come Lately, the voice of the Second American Revolution. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever or wherever you are listening. As someone who came to America to escape from the socialist nightmare, I am using this show to shake America awake. Join me in the next hour for constitutional conservative news and views, as well as the occasional guest. We have to rebuild that shining city on the hill by taking this great country back to the principles set forth by the founders.
And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever, whenever you're listening to the show. This is Stefan, your Patriot Come Lately, British by birth, American by choice, just like the Founding Fathers. Folks, it's another rip-roaring show I've got for you. Tons of stuff to get through. Sure, I won't be able to get through everything, but we'll do what we can. If you've looked at the little description I have at the website saying what's up for this show, some good news, but some stuff that is really going to make your blood boil. So let's start off with the first piece of good news. And this is actually just a reminder of a guest that I had on the show way back in the Blog Talk Radio days. You may remember I had a lot of guests then because of the dial-in capability, and I'm going to try and resurrect that, but for the in the first instance that's not possible. So Gail Whitwright contacted me. She was on the show probably a couple of years ago now, talking about her website Proposition USA. She's a member of a group of Connecticut teachers. Well, think about it. Conservatives, Connecticut, and teachers. If there's three things that don't go together, that's that. But anyway, so my hat is off to her for her bravery. But I want to remind folks about her website, Proposition USA. And they're starting an action to wave the American flag in your hand all this month at 5 p.m. Whether you're sitting in your car, whether you're on an overpass, whether you're on your main street, outside your house, whatever, take a flag, large or small, and wave it at 5 p.m. every day of this month. So there's another, let's see, what are we, the 7th? So there's another 23 days to go, plenty of opportunities to do that. And the reason to do this, one of the main goals of Proposition USA is to bring our country back and to help our veterans, which is a crucial thing because apparently there are 23 veterans a day committing suicide and over 200,000 homeless veterans on any given night. And of course, we all know the VA scandal. Veterans are also dying from lack of care. The Proposition USA website has a lot of other things that they talk about doing. Lots of good suggestions and good positive things you can do. And, we've talked about a lot of the vitriol and hate that's taken place in the last couple of weeks. But here's something very positive. So, let's do that. Some ideas for high school students, some of the things that they can specifically do, not just a rah-rah, let's do something good site, but it really tells you, gives you ideas for what you can do. I'll just give you a handful of examples. Teach a child to read, give to a food drive, give someone a job, organize a neighborhood group, organize a book drive, support a small business, organize a jobs fair, give to your favorite charity, organize a role model program, organize a neighborhood cleanup, share a hobby, help the disabled, give to a field bank, be kind to one American, and more on. I really recommend that you go to Gail's site, and thank you, Gail, for bringing that back to my attention after all this time. So that's propositionusa.com. And on the site you will find Gail's name, you will find her phone number, which I think is very brave of her. Give her a call, email her with questions, comments, whatever. It's a great cause, and don't forget, all this month, 5 p.m., if you can, out there on the street, in your car, on the overpass, whatever, wave Old Glory, wave the Stars and Stripes, and remind folks that this country is worth fighting for. Well, let's go on to the news. Just want to say before I do, the show is again coming to you from Southwest Florida. Yes, that's the Fort Myers area, and it looks like it's going to be a few more weeks at least in this area. Though I will make a small trip out in the not too distant future, so I will surprise you with the location, but it is actually still going to be Florida. I'll tell you about that when that happens. Anyway, so let's before I get to the weekly commentary, I saw something that I do want to share with you, and I thought it was such a powerful posting. It was on Facebook, but it was written by someone, I don't know if he's on Facebook. It was copied by somebody else that I follow on Facebook, but it was written by a person called Keith Belair, and it's such a powerful posting. I want to share this with you, and as you know, I've made comments over the last 2-3 shows about that horrific Germanwings Flight 9525 crash. I was going to say accident. It was no accident. And well, anyway, so this is connected to that, but it's a very, very powerful statement. And I am going to read it because I think it deserves to get passed on to you in full. The pilot was locked out of the cockpit. That phrase finally revealed the full horror of the crash of Germanwings Flight 9525. Co-pilot Andreas Lubitz waited for the pilot to leave the cockpit, then locked the door to prevent his re-entry. After which, Lubitz, for reasons unknown and perhaps unknowable, deliberately steered the jet into a harrowing 8-minute plunge, ending in an explosive 434 mile per hour impact with a rocky mountainside. 149 men, women, and children met an immediate, unthinkably violent death. Lubitz, in his single-minded madness, couldn't be stopped because anyone who could change the jet's disastrous course was locked out. It's hard to imagine the growing feelings of fear and helplessness that the passengers felt as the unforgiving landscape rushed up to meet them. Hard, but not impossible. Because America is in trouble. We feel the descent in the pits of our stomachs. We hear the shake and rattle of structures stressed beyond their limits. We don't know where we're going anymore, but we do know it isn't good. And above all, we feel helpless because Barack Obama has locked us out. He locked the American people out of his decision to seize the national health care system. Locked us out when we wanted to know why the IRS was attacking conservatives. He locked us out of having a say in his decision to tear up our immigration laws and to give over $1 trillion in benefits to those who broke those laws. Obama locked out those who advised against premature troop withdrawals in Afghanistan and Iran. Locked out the intelligence agencies who issued warnings about the growing threat of ISIS. He locked out anyone who could have interfered with his release of 5 Taliban terror chiefs in return for 1 U.S. military deserter. And of course, Barack Obama now locked out Congress, the American people and our allies as he strikes a secret deal with Iran to determine the timeline, not prevention, of their acquisition of nuclear weapons. Was Andreas Lubitz depressed, insane, or abysmally evil when he decided to lock that cockpit door and listen to no other voices than those in his head? Did he somehow believe himself to be doing the right thing? The voice recordings from the doomed aircraft revealed that as the jet began its rapid descent, the passengers were quiet. There was probably some nervous laughter, confusion, a bit of comforting chatter with seatmates, followed by a brief period in which anxiety had not yet metastasized into terror. It was only near the end of the 8-minute plunge that everyone finally understood what was really happening. Only near the end when they began to scream. Like those passengers, a growing number of Americans feel a helpless dread as they come to the inescapable conclusion that our nation's decline is an act of choice rather than of chance. The choice of one man who is in full control of our 8-year plunge. A man who has locked everyone out. So you can see, as I said, a very powerful piece. And just very recently, I think, a day or two, no more than a day or two ago, Michelle Bachmann made a very similar observation. She did it in a tweet, so it was a little bit shorter than this piece. But she was very right, of course. She also talked about Obama locking us out, just like Lubitz did. Of course, she was excoriated by the regressives for saying, in essence, what Keith Belair said in this piece as well. But they went to town on her. And why? Because they realized that it is definitely so true. Okay, folks. I think we're going to try a little bit of weekly commentary. That's right, weekly commentary. So, a series of quick little comments on things in the news. Well, the first thing is King Barry was talking about his signature agreement with Iran, which is not really agreement, it's a framework agreement and still has to be made definitive before, I think, the end of June or whatever. But basically in one of the Sunday shows or whatever that he went on to promote this very strange framework agreement, he said, Iran will not get a nuke on my watch. Well, as usual, for a start, his lips were moving, so he's lying. But let's face it, actually he wasn't. Because he parses his words so very carefully that they sound like something different, but actually he's telling the truth. Iran will not get a nuke on his watch. Because he's slowed them down. He's going to get an agreement with them that they won't have enough capability to generate the material, the nuclear material they need for a bomb in the next 2 years. Now he's talking about a 10-year thing, or in 13 years it would be zero time for them to get a bomb. In other words, this agreement isn't stopping them from getting a bomb, it's just slowing it down. So that, again, as he said, Iran will not get a nuke on his watch. And we've got to remember that framework agreement still has to be turned into a definitive agreement, and don't even dare to call it a treaty until the Senate has voted on it. And, of course, it may never get turned into a definitive agreement because there's a lot of things that can happen between then and now. So, if you really think that the Caliph has stopped Iran from getting an atomic bomb, I have a couple of bridges across the East River in New York that I would like to sell to you.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And I'm back in the show. Thanks for listening to my commercials. I'd just like to remind my listeners, if you need these services, please use the 800 numbers given in the commercials, because that helps support the show. And just want to remind you, if you are listening live, like Paul and Rex, and good evening to both Paul and Rex who are in the chat room there. But if anybody else is listening live, go click on that little speech bubble in the Spreaker window there, and you can join us in the chat room. Put your comments, questions there, and just have some banter backwards and forwards with the others in the chat room. If you're not listening live, and I have a lot of listeners who are unable to listen live, but thank you for listening however you do. Please contact me through my website, patriotcomelately.us, or send me an email, stefan@patriotcomelately.us. Questions, comments, either via the website or via email, always welcomed. I will reply to you both directly through email, and also I will try and put your comments, your questions on the show, and just let the other listeners know what you think. Anyway, and one final request, and I will remind you before the end of the show, hopefully as well. If you like the show, please tell your friends. If you don't like the show, tell your enemies. Okay, back to my weekly commentary. Another thing that's been in the news is the report that came out from the Columbia School of Journalism, a scathing report on the Rolling Stone rape article at UVA. And to me, it just shows how low This country is sinking. We have no accountability anywhere. We've seen that in Washington, but also it's extending now into the mainstream media, and especially a cheap and dirty rag like Rolling Stone, which used to be such a great music magazine and now has turned into a social justice activism type left-wing rag. They had a scathing report from the Columbia School of Journalism, which is hardly a right-wing bastion, and yet no one has been reprimanded, no one has been fired, and the journalist who wrote the article finally this week took it upon herself to provide an apology, very, very late, and very little value, because obviously totally not meant at all, and, you know, just she only did it because she had to. But when she gave that apology, I'm sure you noticed she pointedly avoided naming the fraternity that was so badly affected by these false allegations. She's obviously some kind of bitch that harbors a grudge against fraternities, or perhaps the Greek system in general. I wonder if she was actually refused or thrown out of a sorority if she went to college. But she's such a bad journalist, I can't even believe that she went to college. But it just shows the general, I think, lack of morals, lack of values, lack of integrity that we get more and more in this country. And like I said, that's because our leaders, our so-called leaders in Washington, set the tone, and the tone they set is basically crap. So much so that I was actually going to open the show this week with a statement that the U.S. is no longer a constitutional republic. We have become a democracy. And for those of you that study the Constitution, should know the difference there. A democracy, literally translated from the Greek, means rule by mob. And of course, we talked last week about the Memories Pizza, about all this nonsense about gays forcing their wishes upon other people, and of course businesses and government kowtow to them. So there we are. It's rule by mob, and whoever yells the loudest gets heard, and it is not a constitutional republic anymore, because we just blindly follow whatever those people want. In fact, even a openly gay radio host, Tammy Bruce, but she happens to be conservative, appeared on Fox News Channel to discuss the frenzy over the Memories Pizzeria in Walkerton, Indiana, who hypothetically said they would not cater a same-sex wedding due to their religious convictions. Bruce, the radio host, the gay radio host, defended the pizza shop, warning the LGBTQXRVZ community against becoming the very bullies and fascists they should be fighting against. Bruce called the attacks on the pizzeria another unfortunate instance of the gay mob taking over, when it is the gay community that should best understand the importance of defending those with differing opinions. Isn't that what they've been asking for years, for tolerance? But when now that they've got what they wanted, they don't give it back. Even Kirsten Powers, the fairly left-wing commentator that comes on as a counterpoint on Fox News now and again, she wrote an article in USA Today called "The Only Thing Worse Than a Sore Loser is a Sore Winner." And she's talking about the same thing, that after decades of fighting for gay rights, those who should be guzzling the bubbly are muzzling the vanquished. And that's a great statement there. And she said it's hard for the people who call themselves liberals while acting like anything but, to top their past bullying and intolerance of those who won't fall in line with their worldview. But as we know, after the Indiana Religious Freedom Bill and what happened at Memory's Pizza, right, the world exploded for them, right? The girls' golf coach at an Indiana high school tweeting, "Who's going to go to Walkerton to burn down Memory's Pizza?" And by the way, she was investigated by the police. I don't know whether she's been charged. Hopefully she does, because we need to nip that kind of thing in the bud. But the Yelp page was vandalized with obscene and homoerotic pictures. The owners don't even know whether it's safe to reopen. Well, I'm going to be going up that area in the summer, in July probably, and hopefully they'll be open by then, because I'm going to try and make a side trip to Walkerton and go eat a pizza there just to support them, just like Chick-fil-A. Let's look at one thing very clearly, and this is something from the Kirsten Powers article as well. How many gay people have actually asked to have their wedding catered by this small town pizza joint in the past? 0. What number of people have ever been denied a slice by the pizzeria? 0. In fact, the owners told a reporter they would never refuse to serve a gay customer who came there to eat. But they still had the wrath of the gay rights supporters rain down upon them, because the server there dared to think for herself and dared to tell the world that she thought it was wrong to serve their pizza at a same-sex marriage, and she said it out loud. I mean, this is just absolutely unbelievable that these things have happened. I'm glad to see, I think they got over $500,000 on the crowdfunding site. Thank you to everybody that did that. Well, let's go on. I found this little advert, and it's something in the UK, which kind of surprises me that they can get away with it there, because they're even more PC than here. What does the advert say? Islamic Wedding Photography is the first wedding photography company in the UK that offers a complete halal wedding photography service in London, run by an Asian Muslim husband and wife team that offers a segregated Muslim wedding photography service with a dedicated female wedding photographer. Can you believe this? After your wedding, we will edit the photos in a completely segregated environment and guarantee that no non-mahram will ever see the photos. A non-mahram, by the way, is someone that is not connected by blood or any close relative, and there are very strict rules in Islam about who that is. Some of them are quite complicated, but basically it's very close family, and that's someone who is basically allowed to see the woman, but anybody who is not mahram is not allowed to see the woman. And so they guarantee that these pictures that they take at the Muslim wedding will never be seen by someone who's not supposed to see the woman. Well, I have a couple of questions. And I wonder, will they ever take pictures at a same-sex wedding? Yeah, obviously, nobody is going to answer that. Will they be sued for not taking pictures at a gay wedding? Because we can't expect them to do so. Exactly. It's highly unlikely that they would be sued. What about here in America? Well, even here in America, exactly the same goes on. Nothing will happen. I have proof of that. That's going to happen, though, after the break. So, folks, bear with me. Time for another one of those unfortunate but paying the rent type commercial breaks. Be back in a couple of minutes.
Patriot come lately. British by birth. American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
Every day, millions of Americans grow more concerned about the future of our great nation. The truth is, over the last century, a small but powerful collectivist movement known as progressivism has debased our politics, our culture, and our currency. We're just a small step from falling into 1,000 years of darkness, as Ronald Reagan warned. Friend, this is Pat Boone with an important free offer on a hot new book called The Great Withdrawal by Craig Smith and Lowell Ponte. This new book explains how we, the people, can end this fatal detour into big government and get back on the path of faith and freedom charted by our founders. Call now for a free copy of the hot new book called The Great Withdrawal.
Call now for your free copy. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. That's 800-978-3901.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS that you can't pay? Call now for immediate help. At the Tax Relief Line, we help people just like you. If you take on the IRS alone, you could be facing levies, liens, even wage garnishments, personal or business tax issues. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, call now and see if you can pay less. They can freeze your bank accounts, even garnish your wages. Call the Tax Relief Line now for immediate help. Our expert team of tax professionals will negotiate your tax problem and deal with the IRS for you. If the IRS is threatening you with levies, wage garnishments, or seizing your assets, call now and see if you can pay the IRS less.
888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043.
This is Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, keeping the spirit of America alive, a proud member of the Red State Talk Radio Network. And we are back. This is the Patrick Come Lately talk show with your host, Patrick Come Lately, Stefan, British by birth, American by choice. And normally around this time I like to play some music, but this week I've got so much to bring to you that I'm going to skip the music. Maybe save that for next week. We were talking about the Islamic wedding photography and just wondering whether or not they might take pictures at a same-sex wedding. Of course, we have an answer for that, and that advert was run in London, but even here in America, because the comedian Stephen Crowder, who appears on Fox quite regularly, did a hidden camera, did a James O'Keefe Project Veritas type thing in Dearborn, and he went up to Dearborn and he filmed himself trying to buy a gay wedding cake at Muslim bakeries for himself and his partner Ben Howe. And as it said in the particular post where they were talking about this, if nothing else, he is certainly bold. Now, what do you think happens when a gay, like a super gay Crowder, and I don't know whether Stephen Crowder is actually gay or whether he was just playing it, but when he tries, if you look at the video, and I recommend, go to Google, look up Stephen Crowder, and I'm sure it'll point you to that YouTube, or go to YouTube, search for him there. It's very enlightening, because he's acting very gay and he's trying to get a super gay wedding cake with a picture of him and his partner baked at a Muslim bakery And can you guess what happens? I'm sure it's very obvious. Now, what does that say to you? I'll tell you what it says to me. It says that all this hate and vitriol that was thrown up against the Indiana RFRA law, against the Memories Pizza, and all the other situations like this, that has absolutely nothing to do with gay rights and people feeling that they're going to be discriminated against. It is just an opportunity for these bottom-feeding, low-life gay Nazis, and my wife told me off for using that, but that's exactly what they're, gay Nazis, gay mafia, to force their control and power over Christians. And they do this only against Christians, because let's look. When you do it in a Muslim bakery, why don't they protest there? Why aren't they threatening to burn those down? Why aren't they suing those? But if it's a Christian florist, they get sued. They're likely to lose their business, their home. But that doesn't happen to the Muslims. Why not? And I can't understand these gays, these left-wing regressives who support the gays. I just can't understand how they can not see, because Muslims are the ones that throw gays off rooftops. Muslims are the ones that stone gays to death. Muslims are the ones that give, 500 lashes to a person because of a gay relationship. It's not Christians. Okay, it may not be very friendly to say, I'm not going to cater your wedding, or I'm not going to take pictures at your wedding because it's against my faith. But that's why this country was founded, that people could practice their faith as they wanted. And now these people are forcing their will upon others. And that's what gets me. I'm not a particularly religious person, but I have a very strong libertarian streak. And the fact that other people are telling people what to do really gets my goat. Another case, and I'm having to laugh a little bit here because some of the comments that Rex is putting in the in the chat room, talking about a gay wedding cake. Is that a cake with crossed dicks on the top? Here was a piece that was written by a truck driver, a former truck driver, and he said that I understand there are times when you might be less thrilled with a particular load. You might not like where you have to pick it up, where it's going, the road to be traveled, or, if you're a Muslim, the product you are transporting. If the driver chooses to voice those concerns, the answer in most cases would be the same. In some form or other, he would be told to deal with it, reminded of the delivery time, and the conversation would be over. That was the case recently for two Muslim truck drivers who claimed to have felt that their religion precluded them from transporting alcohol. The trucking company didn't force the issue, but they did make it clear that the drivers are expected to take the loads they are assigned and inform them of where to park their rigs. I think that's polite wording for something perhaps a little different. That should have been the end of the story, with both parties free to act within their rights. That wasn't the end, though. We've entered a new phase in America, the totalitarianism tolerance, where race baiters, homosexuals and Muslims are special and deserving of more rights than the common folk. And that is exactly right, folks. Because what happened? The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is suing the transportation company to accommodate the drivers who refuse to do their jobs because you're supposed to give religious accommodation. Excuse me, so if I want to not bake a pizza for someone because it goes against my religion, that's bad? But if I don't want to drive a truck full of alcohol, I can do that, and the company that says they should do that against their will is getting sued? This is bizarro world, folks. This is bizarro world. Can you believe this? But it gets worse. And do I have time for that? I'm going to do that in the last segment. What I'm going to be telling you, and this is the blood boiling part of the show's description for this week, is really going to make your blood boil. But let's go back to the weekly commentary. Something totally different. We've talked about all these children coming across the border last summer, all these illegal aliens still coming across the border. Now, to make it more simple, the Obama regime is offering free transportation by air from 3 Central American countries and a special parole program with resettlement assistance and permanent residency. Now, when interviewed, when asked about it, State Department has got all sorts of waffle. Well, actually, it's not free because the people have to pay it back. Yes, when? And they are vetted. There have to be people who really need to come because they feel they are threatened by things going on in their country. Yeah, right. But what they don't say is that the people to whom they're being delivered could be illegals. So they are rewarding illegals for coming across the border. So all this special security, and has that been voted upon by Congress, as the Constitution says? But let's remember, this regime doesn't give a shit about the Constitution. And folks, we've got to do something about it. Oh, I really wish pitchforks and torches and off to Washington. Because don't forget, and this is supposedly for Central American miners. That's the new designation, CAM. And amongst things they're going to get, these are all taxpayer funded. So they may or may not have to pay their own flights, but we're going to front it. So it's our money fronting it, and then that we have to see that we get the money back for them. You know, remember what I said earlier about buying a bridge across the East River? If you believe that, then I've got that bridge for you. But what they're also going to get, free education, food stamps, medical care, and living expenses. So there you are. Obama's using your tax dollars to bring even more illegals here. Folks, bizarro world. Absolutely bizarro world. And Mark Levin, in I think either yesterday or today, slamming the State Department for telling an outright flagrant lie to cover up Obama making a major gaffe on his Iranian nuke deal. Now, why can't we hold these people accountable for lying? If you want to bend the truth is one thing, but flagrantly lying, right? Obama actually admitted yesterday to NPR that Iran will basically get nukes down the road with the deal he's making. But when the State Department, that stupid bitch Marie Harf, was asked about it, she lied through her teeth about it. Now that's the one, isn't it, that's going to go work in the communications at the White House shortly. But, I mean, it's just, that makes my blood boil. Just the fact that we can't recall them, get them for lying, arrest them and throw them in jail. But I promise you some good news. Do we have time for it? Yes. We do have some good news. Governor LePage of Maine actually makes welfare recipients work for their welfare. Like many other states, Maine was suffering from outrageous abuse of the programs, especially the food stamp one, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, the SNAP program, as they say. Roughly 12,000 of Maine's unmarried, non-disabled citizens were on the SNAP rolls, sucking away funds that could have been used to help people who really needed it. So the Republican government, LePage, decided to put an end to that. And what he did, he declined federal waivers that Obama instituted to bypass a law that Bill Clinton signed that allows he declined the waivers that allow states to bypass the work for welfare laws that were put into effect. And it means that single, non-disabled citizens have to either work part-time, 20 hours per week, volunteer 24 hours per month, or be enrolled in a verified work training program in order to get their benefits. What happened? So out of the 12,000 single, non-disabled SNAP participants, over 9,000 of them dropped out of the program in a mere 4 months. Only almost 3,000 decided to comply with the new requirements. And of course, the main progressives are absolutely outraged that the state Republicans can be so soulless as to make these able-bodied people turn off Jerry Springer and contribute to society. Liberals were quick to claim that those 9,000 people will starve to death after such a disaster struck, requiring them to actually do something with their lives like the rest of us. Isn't that just absolutely a bizarro world? Okay, folks, time for our final commercial break, and then we're going to get some blood boiling after the break. So let me start the commercials. I'll be right back.
Reporting from the eye of the storm. This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks. And I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again. I'm predicting this storm front is heading your way, so call Basement Systems and relax.
Call 800-205-8665 for your free in-home inspection, or visit basementradiooffer.com. That's 800-205-8665, or visit basementradiooffer.com.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call. But I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-750-5371. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-750-5371. That's 877-750-5371.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And this is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately. Just reminding you, if you want to contact me, please send me an email, stefan@patrickcomelately.us, or go to my website, www.patrickcomelately.us. There's a contact form there. Send me your comments, feedback, questions, whatever. Love to hear from my listeners, and we'll do it in the show. And again, have to laugh. Rex just put something. Hey, relax. Harry is retiring. McCain is running for re-election. How's the blood pressure now? Well, with McCain running for re-election again, let's get a good conservative to have him knocked out. That would really get my blood pressure down. Anyway. But my blood pressure is going to go up now, and so is yours. So for those of you that have hypertension, and you know who you are, make sure you take an extra dose of your blood pressure medicine before you listen to the rest of the show. Otherwise, the blood might be spurting out of your eyes. So we talked earlier about the fact, all this gay mafia nonsense, forcing these, threatening to kill, to burn down the Memories Pizza, just the whole wave of vitriol and hate that was poured upon these people, and has happened in other situations. The florist, other cake bakers, losing their livelihood, losing their house because these people are just so vindictive. Well, and then we heard about the Muslim bakers who refused to do exactly the same. Crickets, right? So, now, let's go to Colorado, that bastion of freedom and liberty. It seems that the authorities in Colorado have now made a ruling that bakeries must bake cakes for gay weddings. Well, we know all about that. But can refuse to make cakes with Bible verses on them. Folks, how bizarre a world is that? In other words, gays have more rights than Christians. Gays have more rights than normal people do. Is this some kind of repatriation for having called gays queers, having perhaps had them discriminated against in the past? Are we now supposed to give them everything? So, the Colorado state government says gays are a protected class and therefore can get anything they want at any time. But Christians aren't a protected class and they can be denied services at will. Well, has Colorado forgotten the First Amendment? The First Amendment protects against a state religion being forced upon us, but also protects the right for people to worship any way they want and to practice their faith. So, Colorado's officials, the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Regulatory Agencies, found that the Azucar Bakery in Denver, obviously a gay bakery, was not guilty of discrimination for refusing to bake 2 cakes, one adorned with Bible quotes condemning sodomy, and the other one with other actually fairly harmless Bible quotes. So why would they, doesn't that just make your blood boil? This is just total discrimination against Christians. This cannot stand. This is something that we have to stand and fight. I told you, I'm not a religious person, but I will not stand for this sort of thing, and I will do everything I can to spread this message that we have to stand up and tell these folks this is totally unacceptable. Folks, this is just unbelievable. However, I see that the clock is ticking. I did want to tell you about the woman's version of Genesis, a little bit of likeness, and also about the old farmer who wound a slick city lawyer around his finger. But we'll have to save that for next week's show. I'm going to calm down now and just once more remind you, if you like the show, please tell your friends, your family. If you don't like the show, then tell your enemies. But let's get the message out there, because we have to take things like this really, let's face it, this really stupid decision that was taking place in Colorado. I hope someone sues Colorado for this. This needs to go to the Supreme Court if it ever gets there, if it doesn't get overturned earlier, because this is just absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how they could even get away with doing anything like that. Okay, folks, the music is about to start, and it's time for me to say TTFN. It's been fun. I hope you let your blood pressure go down again. Let's see what we can do next week. Maybe we've got a bit more good news. Ta-ta!
Thank you for listening to this edition of the Patrick Come Lately Show. Please take what you have learned and share it with friends and family. Better still, tell them about the show so they can listen too. Remember to support the advertisers on the show. It helps keep this show on the air, and I thank you for that. I'm looking forward to joining you on the next show. Until then, keep spreading our message. Goodbye, and God bless America.